when I first got into the business, I really didn't understand as much as I do today the power of partnership and of unity. And so regardless of where you are, if you're a man in the business and your spouse, female, supports you, if you're a female in the business and your spouse, male, supports you, man, you got to do it together. And it's so difficult if you're pulling different directions. Years ago, I did a little talk on the power of horses and how one horse can pull 8,000 pounds. You remember this? But if you put two horses yoked together, they can pull 32,000 pounds. True story. Fact check me later. Not now, later. How does that make any sense? 8, one horse, 2 horses, 32. Like if they were together, shouldn't they do 16? There's something about congruence. There's something about synergy. There's something about being on the same page. So we thought we could kind of slow it down, take a look at what it's like, not when you're in the field, not when you're out in Miss Johnson's home, but perhaps when you're in your own home, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what does some of the dialogue consist of. I think it would help us. Actually, I know it will. Brian Celestine is going to host this session. Welcome Leonidas as he comes.
Ahoo! I like that. One more time. Ahoo! 3's the charm. Ahoo! All right. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring on, this is the Power Couples panel. I think that, just by show of hands, anybody married, have a significant other, a Boonopolis? Okay, I see. Y'all don't know about Boonopolis here in Georgia. That's a Louisiana thing. But guys, I think it's instrumental having the buy-in of your spouse, of your significant other. That partnership really, has allowed myself and I know others to be able to take their business to the next level. If you're, you don't have peace at home, right? It's kind of hard to find peace in the field. If your mind's thinking about everything that's going wrong, well, it's hard to focus in. So I want to have, first off, my beautiful wife, Mrs. Celestine. Give her a round of applause.
I never knew any better till I knew you. Ooh. I never knew any better till I knew you. Ooh. I know when it rains or it pours. I know I was born to be yours. I never knew any better till I knew you.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And cut. All right. I also want to introduce the Khalils, Miss Ashley and Dustin Khalil. Give them a round of applause, please. All right, guys, so we don't have a whole lot of time, so we're going to jump right into it. How you guys feeling?
Outstanding.
You good? Yeah. Has this been a great day thus far? Woo. You guys getting something from this? Perfect, perfect. All right, so first off, how long have you guys been married? How many kids for those in the audience that don't know your story?
13 years, is it right? 13 years, going on 14. We've got 2 beautiful children, Christian and Chloe. Christian 12, going on 13, Chloe 8. Got 2 dogs. Blessed to be in a beautiful home in a beautiful city. So yeah.
Absolutely, and a beautiful wife.
And a beautiful wife.
There you go.
Yes,
there
sir.
you go. We've been married now, what is it, 22 years?
Feels like it.
No. 5 years. 5 years. 5 kids. We're planning on having a kid
One
for every
every
year that we're married. So we're working on number 6.
Mercy.
And 7 and 8, so we're working. But first, Dustin, I want to come to you. Man, listen, you guys have an interesting dynamic, okay? You started off as an agent. You were an agent, and you told me he was actually a manager.
He was my boss.
Your boss for
Word.
a period,
Yeah.
and things kind of changed. But speak to, man, right now, currently, how do you provide support to her in this business? How do you help her?
Well, I think whenever we first started in the business, I mean, it was definitely more like, I would say, the physical support. Get your head out of the gutter. Jordan said, I said physical support in the back, and he's like, I was like, yeah, I put out Jordan. So no, that's.
All right.
But that's not what I was talking about. When I refer to physical support, I'm basically talking about, you know, the things. Well, first off, the things as a man that I wanted to do: cut the grass, take care of things in the house. You know, just man stuff, I guess. The things that were difficult for me to begin with were picking up kids, taking kids to school, helping kids with homework, cooking, cleaning, not washing clothes because I'm just not good at that. But she wouldn't let me because I shrank all of her stuff. But, you know, stuff like that. I mean, that's how it kind of began. And it was difficult, I'm not going to lie. But as it has transitioned over the years, it's become more of a physical support to emotional support. You know, I think now, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, you get off an emotional phone call. She doesn't, you don't need, you know, a wife or spouse, whatever it is, in your ear saying, you know, hey, we got to do this, 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 and this. Just like on Saturday or Sunday morning, I want to.
Is that called nagging?
Dear God. I don't want to wake up hearing, you know, and she knows this, and we've had this talk before, and communication is a huge thing, but you don't need just, we have to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And I'm like, Barb, you got to stop. That's her mom. But love you, Barb. But, you know, I mean, it's I feel like it transitions from physical to emotional support, and in between a lot of communication.
Sure. Same question. I mean, how do you, and I know all that you do for me in the business, but for those who don't know, how do you provide support in the business?
Providing support, obviously being an agent and your spouse being an agent is not the easiest thing. In our home, we literally have separate businesses because I'm an agent, he's an agent. I don't like him touching my papers, and he thinks every time I touch his, it disappears. So,
It does.
no. So, I mean, I try, considering that I'm in the field, or I spend a lot of my time in the field in the last 9 years, you know, a lot of time, even Brian is the greatest, I think he's one of the best field trainers I've seen in the business here at NASB. Sorry, guys. I'm a little biased. But even after, you know, he's field trained a couple of females, you know, they want to field train to see how a woman does it, you know, and it's a little different how men's approaches the door and then compared to how we approach the door. So a lot of time, you know, it was more field training. And, you know, when he was hard recruiting, he was saying like interviews, if he's field training and I'm not field training, he'll send interviews to me to carry out the interviews for him while I'm in between homes. And most recently, I think we did our website, and I was able to do the website, work on that. It was a long 6 months, but I was able to help with the website. So I try my best to be behind. It's hard. Anybody who's here who has a spouse who's an agent, and if you're an agent, it's really hard to align it all the time. So, and he's a force. So imagine trying to keep up with that force. It's a lot, but I do my best.
You do a great job, babe.
Thank you, babe.
Sure do.
I want to come to you, Ashley.
Yeah.
You know, you have a family, you have 2 kids, right? You have a very busy schedule, right?
Yes.
Being a partner, I know, I mean, you take a lot of calls.
She doesn't like busy. She likes productive.
There you go. You're very productive schedule.
So well.
Yeah. So let me ask you, how do you find the time to run the business and give your family the attention that they deserve? How do you balance that?
Well, I would say this is, you know, the majority, because I know I say majority, okay, majority. And I would say in the beginning, in 2015, when we were running this thing, it was really hard. I know we keep saying that, but I even look back, and I was working 80 hours a week at Gold's Gym, and that was hard. You know, coming home at 6, 7 o'clock at night, and us being on 2 completely different wavelengths, exhausted, and we didn't have kids back then, and it was just madness. So I just feel like you're gonna experience the hard no matter what level of life you're in, right? Whether you're poor or whether you're rich, you're gonna experience hard no matter what. So I think in the beginning in 2015, when the roles were reversed and Dustin lost his job at Sprint, it was our choice that he said that, hey, look, you know, I can be the stay-at-home dad, but that was very difficult because I was the one that was picking up the kids at 4 o'clock, doing the dinners, doing the readings. So when those roles completely reversed, you know, it's easy to say it, but then to experience the next thing after that, when you say a commitment like, oh yeah, you be the stay-at-home dad, and I'll go ahead and rock out, you know, the field and going from city to city and building an agency. It was extremely difficult on me as a mom. Mom guilt, 100%, 100%. That first couple years, when I was sacrificing being on the road, I would completely cry in a corner because my kids would be asleep. But I think one of the best things Dustin ever did was that we had to get on the same page. And so he always built me up as a hero to my kids. And so when I would come home, even if they were asleep, it's as if they didn't miss anything. They didn't resent me. But as far as time goes, I had very low quantity of time in the beginning with my children, but then I had very high quality time with them. Now, once I hit RVP and above, I got my time back. And then also I got the quantity and the quality time back with my kids, and it's our choice now. So it's a little bit different, but in those first couple years, there was a massive sacrifice.
Sure. So if I can piggyback on that point, you know, you mentioned quality of time. I think that's huge. You know, I mean, just getting at this position, you know, I answer the phone a lot. I'm on my phone a lot. And what, you know, I remember I was sitting with my son, and we were playing with, you know, one of the little Hot Wheels deal, you know, and we're rolling, playing all this stuff, and I have my phone like this, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's great. We're having a blast. And my son would grab my phone, and like he was 2 years old at this point, taking my phone and hitting it to put my phone down, and that's when, you know, it kind of hit me that, you know, even though I'm spending this time, this isn't quality time. And my 2-year-old son was able to recognize that the time I was spending wasn't quality. You know, so it doesn't matter if it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. What I attempt to do now is put my phone down.
Absolutely.
You know, look him in the eyes, right? And I'm playing with him, like, you know, I mean, I'm really, you know, we're using our imagination together.
Yeah.
Right? And he appreciates that. And, you know, he's like, Dad, you want to play with me? You want to play with me? And we really play. And like with my wife, you know, I'm OCD, y'all. You know, I mean, a lot of us are ADD. I'm not ADD, but I am OCD. You know,
am ADD.
So we all have a D I guess that's just salespeople, you know, but, you know, what I had to do is like with my wife, I would always talk about the business. You know, we'd wake up, NASB, baby. You know,
Let's go.
Oh, by the way,
ready.
you know, give me a kiss. Good morning. But NASB, like I was saying, and I would do that throughout every day. And, you know, I noticed for her, it became overwhelming. Always talking about NASB, you know, I mean, I can do that type of stuff, but she became overwhelmed. So what I had to do is like, all right, you know, when we're together, I got to talk about something besides this. You know, so just making sure that I'm talking, listening, things without NASB. And also what we had to do was, you know, put together a date night. You know, so make sure no matter how much time I spend, no matter what I'm doing, hey, Saturdays and we even had to, you know, move the days around.
Yeah,
you know?
we had to improvise a lot. You
Right.
know, it could be a Tuesday, it could be a Saturday, it could be a Sunday, it could be during the day. It
Right,
doesn't
it could
have
be
to
a date
always
day.
at night, you know, so yeah.
Exactly.
It could be breakfast.
Yeah, but spending that quality time and making time for each other was huge. Babe, I'm gonna come to you on this one.
Okay.
You know, not her baby, my baby. For you, you know, I mean, just how do you balance the business and balance our family life? Because I mean, you do a lot of, you know, the things at home, but you're also an agent.
Right.
And, you know, I want you in the 10K club. You know, and I will call her out on the call.
He does. He calls
if she's
me out
not on the
call.
10K club. But I also want dinner.
Right.
So tell me how
From
you
scratch.
do that.
From scratch. I mean, obviously, everybody's experiences here is going to be a little different. You know, me, I'm super traditional. I know you guys can hear that I'm African, so I grew up in a traditional home. Growing up in a traditional home, I want to raise my kids in a traditional home. So the family part, I got it down pat. I know what I'm supposed to do as a mom. But when it comes to, it still amazes me when someone starts at NASB and they say, I want balance. Like, it really does. Because to me, I'm like, have you ever tried to juggle 3 things at the same time? I'm not a great juggler, but I know when you have it up, if you look down, something is going to fall, right? So my thought process is always, okay, have at least one ball up. If you have that ball up, the chance of you catching that ball is 100% if you're looking at it. So a lot of my time is like when I'm home with my kids, that's the most important thing. If my husband needs my attention, that's the most important thing. When I'm in the field and my clients are calling and they calls, and you know they calls, I have them labeled. You could tell which one of my clients are the most important. They all important. But I will answer a $145 a month call quicker than I'll answer a $22 AIG call. So I have them completely labeled. And it's something that I heard on the call. You know, I heard put your client's name, put the premium in the company, and I have them just like that on my phone, every single one of my clients. And I'm very intentional because I know that all of our times are super limited as parents. Like, right. I was a huge mommy guilt. I felt bad being in the field, but having the right partner helped a lot. Like I was telling Ashley, the person you lay up next to can help with that balance, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, it's the right partner, someone that can push you, and they can push and they can hold you back. Like Brian, as much as he requires, he doesn't judge when I have to work until 10. He's very supportive. The only text I may get from him is, hey, are you okay? If it's already getting dark, and I'll be like, yes, babe, I'm fine. But he knows the assignment. He knows that we were trying to reach for partner, and now we want some of our agents to get there and partner and beyond. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Babe, what does that mean?
Oh, y'all, that sound, he managed to, I don't know who created these phones. That means that he's hungry. Oh, I'm dying. Somebody come
You
help.
eat a lot, Brian. Every
Yeah,
time
so-
I call him, he's always eating something. A waffle,
I'm a
chicken.
growing
I
boy.
mean, it's crazy. You
Yeah,
eat
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Art told me the same thing. He's like, dude, every time I call you, you're eating.
And
have 9
honestly,
kids.
though, babe, remember we had to buy an extra refrigerator because I was like, I would have to cook and put his stuff in the refrigerator so he can warm it up when I'm not home. It's crazy.
Right. Got to get on the 10K club and got to eat. So, same question.
It's a checklist.
Yeah. How do you find balance, man? I mean, in dealing with the at home and giving, just that family, what they deserve, man.
I mean, I'll tell you this right now. This is Ashley's. She hates this word, is balance. And I get why. I mean, we do have to spend a significant amount of time trying to figure that out. But I've come to the understanding that balance is broadened. You have to broaden your balance. Like, balance doesn't come in a day. It doesn't come in sometimes a week. Sometimes it takes a month for everything to balance out. You can have day after day after day of, good Lord, I'm going to pull my hair out, and where it might be the kids' homework, and me and her at this point are going back and forth, but to begin with, it was just me. So, now things are a little bit more balanced, but we have to understand on several different emotional, standpoints that balance is just not going to come in just one day. So it might be a week before, things kind of starting to balance out. So you're balancing out, and you're like, okay, things are kind of starting to get good again. But I think the important thing to remember is that this is not, especially when you're first starting out, this is not a 9-to-5 job. Right. So as a spouse, it takes time to figure that out. And okay, 5 o'clock, may not be home. 5 o'clock, I may have dinner, or a spouse may have dinner ready. She may not be there to eat it. Or if she is there to eat it, she might come in on the cell phone and get that look, or this, or me walking by her like, get off phone, get off phone, get off phone, get off phone, something like that. But I mean, it's just something that you just kind of have to figure out. But that's not something that I really do anymore. But whenever I first started off, it was a challenge for me to figure out the balance of, okay, this is not a 9-to-5. I've got to figure out a way to sometimes just get it done myself. And that comes along with growing together. And we were talking about that, in the back. I think you brought it up, so I'm not going to try to steal your thunder. But, it's, with us, it was like, okay, I've either got to, grow with her or get left behind. And that kind of is what helped out with our balance.
Sure. Ashley, let me come to you, and we're going to keep it, this is a power couples panel. And guys, if you are in any type of relationship, you understand that not every day is just amazing.
Nope.
Right? I mean, there's some friction, there's some arguments. You know, so let's keep it 100, okay?
100%.
Okay.
Absolutely transparent. So
Has
I know.
this business ever caused any friction, any problems in your relationship?
Yeah.
And if so, how'd you fix it?
Okay, well, definitely in the beginning. I mean, imagine going from being primed and prepped your whole life to being the man of the house from what the world says, you know, to be the provider financially to, hey, let's switch roles. And it was really hard for him to get over. I'd want to say I think it took like 2 years where he had to get over that mindset of worrying about what other people thought about him as a stay-at-home dad. And
She's not wrong. It was difficult.
yeah, and then also me too. Like, hey, look, you know, oh, well, you should be the traditional stay-at-home wife, you know, and to go let your man do this. I mean, we constantly got that from our families a lot. But as far as the arguments, oh my gosh. I mean, I don't think we ever threw anything at each other. I think you did punch the wall once. That was crazy. That was awesome. And, you know, I'm like, oh, right. And, but yeah, we definitely got into some heated arguments. And in the beginning, because I had such a lack of capacity to receive, that you wanted to say something, didn't you?
You left out a part. My hand went through the wall, so I accomplished my mission.
You did.
Just saying.
I was very proud of you. Super proud of you. And so, yeah, like I just had a super duper lack of capacity because I was the flight in the relationship. I'm like, yo, you yelling at me? Bye. I literally would get in my car and I would leave. And he's like, well, we need to talk about this. And I'm like, hell no, we ain't talking about this right now. I don't think so, you know? So I would wait 2 weeks and I would let it fester in me, right? If anyone's ever done that, and then I would explode on him. And then I realized, okay, as I began my, you know, growing my capacity, learning about people skills and communication, just like what you said, your significant other is the greatest influence in your life. And I was like, we need to be good if we want our business to be good. So, yeah, like it sucked for straight up like a year and a half. We didn't have date nights. Our date night consisted of spaghetti and meatballs in our kitchen, right? Because we reinvested back into the business.
Right. You know, if we're gonna keep it 100, so have we argued over this business? Absolutely.
Oh, no, we haven't.
Did you punch a wall though?
Quit lying, girl. Quit lying. No. Listen, we've had. Let's say, yes, we have. So, yes, we have. I'm gonna keep it real. So, but now, what I found in when we was arguing, or let's just say disagreeing, is a better word. A lot of times it was due to lack of communication.
Yeah.
Right. And I found that the higher my communication is, the better things are at home. Like, I'm just like, babe. And for all the men out there, that have spouses, what I found is like I would tell her, like, babe, I need you. I need your help, okay? Women love to help. It's true. That's their nurturing side. And I was like, babe, I need your help. I can't do this without having your support. And what I'm going to need to travel. I'm going to need you to understand that I'm traveling, but this is why I have to travel. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to build. I'm trying to grow so that way I can get to partner. So that way we can leave a legacy for our son, for our kids, for our family. If something happens to me, I want you to be taken care of. And that level of communication will help tremendously. And in addition to that, just being accessible. Here's the reality. If I'm going out of town every month for a week, she trusts me. I trust her. But we are human. And she wants to make sure that, hey, you're in that hotel.
FaceTime.
Let's FaceTime. And I better answer on FaceTime.
Right. Yes.
So I do answer on FaceTime, and I'm like, well, baby, nobody's in here. Just me. You see that under the bed? Yeah. In the closet. It's not that bad.
It's not.
But
Dude, trust is extremely
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
think about it. I mean, especially if you're doing ride-alongs, being a female, right? Having another dude in your car, like 99% trust is 100% distrust. So you got to fully trust your significant other out there on the field, 100%.
yeah, for sure. Trust is a big deal.
And conceal and carry. It's great.
Yes,
I love
100%.
Which she has now. So yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yes.
What
I don't
kind
know
of?
how to use it yet.
You don't know how to use it. But
No,
you
I
can
know how to
point.
use it.
Oh, you do. You do.
Oh, I have visualized that. I'm like, come into my house. I will blow you up. Legit.
She's not
Hell
lying.
yes.
She's not lying.
What kind of gun is it? I'm just curious. What kind do you have?
It's a.
It is, yeah.
I mean, if you know it.
It is a 380. It is very awesome. Am I saying that right?
It's a
you heard that?
380 Smith & Wesson Easy Slide.
Smith & Wesson.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Let's go. All right.
one.
All right.
one.
I'm gonna come to you. Let's go to you with this last question here.
I'm like, I want one.
You want to go?
Give your wife one, Brian.
Get that girl a
No.
gun.
She is
her
totally,
conceal and carry,
definitely.
baby.
Give her the next
We
question.
have guns, but I'm gonna keep control
He has them locked up.
of the guns. She's emotional, guys. I'm joking. All right. Last question.
Sure.
For you, you know, I hear your story, y'all's story, you know, how you had to sell your engagement ring and, you know, and doing all these things to put food on the table. How has NASB affected your lifestyle, man? What has changed? How's it changed?
Well, I kind of start off with this. I mean, you've heard her side of things on, you know, what we've gone through. And, you know, I'll start off just really quick at the beginning. Before we first got married, we're at our parents' place, and she comes in there and, hey, baby, come sit down for just a second. I got something to tell you. And
Just like that.
It's like a week before we get married. And I was like, man, this can't be good. And our parents are in there, and we go sit down at the computer, and she's like, it says I have $27,000 in credit card debt, but I'm not sure if that's true. And I'm like, dear God. Okay, so here we are. Which, I mean, not saying I didn't have a little bit of debt myself. So, you know, married my beautiful wife and some gorgeous debt as well. And, you know, so here we are. Well, I'll say at the beginning, too, you know, Ashley has told you guys, and everybody's heard the story of how we've had to sell clothes, sell rings, and sell guitars and all this other stuff. And, you know, I would say now it's kind of transitioned to, you know, I don't know. I kind of think of Jordan. You know, I go to Jordan's house. I remember that was the first time I ever got a brisket right. But anyway, I went to Jordan's house, and I'm trying to help clean dishes. And I'm like, Jordan, where's the soap? Soap? I don't know where the soap is. I was like, well, how do you clean dishes? I was like, does a dog clean the dishes? He doesn't know where the soap or anything is. And, like, you know, I guess here we are 10 years later from whenever we first got started in insurance. And now I find myself not paying attention to grocery prices, not paying attention to gas prices. I remember my grandma used to call, what's the gas down there? Oh, if I know what the gas is, I don't know what the gas price is. I don't have time for that, you know. It's, you know, a lot's changed. You know, we ended up having to go from debt consolidation to bankruptcy, and, you know, all that is completely changed. And now it's a complete switch. It's a pretty amazing thing. So now we can call. Now we have people chasing our money and saying, hey, you know, we want to do this for you, and we want to do this for you, want to do this for you. So it's a pretty amazing thing to say, no more used tires, no more selling kids clothes for money, no
You
more.
said selling kids. I was like,
I mean, selling kids for money, selling kids clothes
Damn,
for money.
times
Yeah,
was hard.
It was bad. Hey, and I only
Renting
had
out the
2.
kids.
You got like 19, so you could have got pretty good.
we can get paid for renting out our kids. 5 of them. Babe,
Yeah.
same question. I mean, you know, 9 years ago, a lot has changed. You know, how has NASB, you know, affected our lives?
Honestly, so Brian came into an already made family. Before Brian and I got together, I was already married with 4 kids and then divorced, and, you know.
She was divorced.
I was
We did.
divorced. You know, so I still remember, even to this day, you know, you can never make enough money, I guess when I'm maybe 50 years from now, to forget when you were broke. Like, if you've ever been broke, you know. So, I mean, I remember, like, even now, I think we talked about it in Texas, like, I pull up the house that I had in 2013 that I lost after the first recession, just to see where, because I grew up in that house. I bought that house from my mom, and I lost that house. And, you know, I felt guilty for a long period of time. But to where my kids are growing up now, you know, they're going to school where it's some of the top school districts in Texas, and they have an opportunity to be able to compete whenever they graduate high school and they want to go to college and whatever the future holds for them. Just that alone for me is a big deal. It's not about, eating ragu on a Tuesday or lobster on a Thursday. It's not about that for me. For me, it's about the legacy that, my husband has been able to work his behind off, Like, I see how I grew up and how a son is going to be, when he becomes a man, he's gonna know how to balance the checkbook. He still mails out checks. So he's the only one I know that still mails out checks. So, but I know that that's something he's gonna teach my son. And we're gonna have enough money, when we die, for our kids not to struggle for the rest of their life. Hopefully they don't lose it all, So to me, that's really what is different for me.
Hey, Brian, there is something called electronic banking. It's great.
I do
You should
that
try
too.
it.
I do both. I do both.
Just making
Okay.
sure.
No, he doesn't.
But just piggyback what you said. I mean, it's amazing to have that time now to do that and the resources. If your kids struggle, you have the time, you have the resources to be able to help your kids, which we've also gone through this year.
Right. And I mean, just to piggyback on that, like my Cash App goes off all day. I have a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old that drives and every 5 minutes. But, I can afford that now. I can send it. I don't have to worry about, do I need to pay bills or take them out to, I remember, y'all, taking my kids to Chuck E. Cheese was a trip, like, to them. Like, that was all I can afford because you go on Groupon, and they had Groupon where you can get Chuck E. Cheese, and they'll get the token, and they ate the one pizza.
I hate that place.
Me too, trust me. But it was all I can afford, and to them it was a trip of a lifetime. For me, I was like, this is all I can afford. So
We've been there.
Ashley, let me ask you this last question before we close. What type of sacrifices have you had to make in, just to get to where you were or you are and going?
Well, definitely when it comes to more of the family sacrifices is I believe that your role, like our roles, it shifts as your responsibilities shift, okay? So in other words, what were my strengths became my weaknesses, right? So in other words, like I used to be the one that did all the finances. Then I couldn't do that anymore, so I gave him all the finances. He was the one that was checking all the bills. So I just think, giving up the things that I was passionate at, especially time with my kids. For 2 years, you guys, I did not know what my kids were studying. That's another reason why Dustin became a stay-at-home dad is because our son was struggling in school just with reading comprehension. And so, I mean, we have spent thousands on tutors and then also him being that stay-at-home dad. But now we both get to do that. So as far as the sacrifice goes, oh my gosh, it was, and when I say mom guilt torture, it was torture. But then also you have to lower your expectations together. So I didn't have an expectation that when I came home, just because he was a stay-at-home dad, like, oh, the house is going to be super clean and the dishes are going to be done and the kids are going to be super duper happy. Heck no. Like, do not have that expectation. You have to lower that completely, but raise your standards as we grow together. So that was huge for me.
And let me add to that. I mean, you both have said mom guilt. Look, I have dad guilt. Because I want to be a great, leader and, support the team, but I also want to be a great dad. I want to be a great husband. Those are things that I aspire to as well. And, just spending that time away from, our kids. And like I mentioned, yesterday, coming home and my son wouldn't be as attached as he was before I left. Right? That was something that, for me was a big sacrifice. But, Ashley, this made me so happy, I swear. When she came to our convention, she asked my son, Michael, he's now 4 years old. She asked him, she was like, Michael, who, I wasn't there, and my wife told me about this. But Ashley asked him, hey, who's your superhero? Talking about Spider-Man, who's your superhero? And he said, my dad. And my wife told me that, and I was like, that's my boy. That is my boy. Right. But you know what? He recognizes that dad is sacrificing, and kids are smarter than we give them credit for. So, guys, hope you all enjoyed this. For the sake of time, we can go on a long time, but for the sake of time, can we give our panelists a round of applause, please?